Welcome to this last episode of the Science Toolbox and this first season. So we're going to talk today about content creation for science communication, and we're going to divide this episode in two parts. First, we're going to talk about how to create engaging content in different apps and different materials, and then we're going to have an interview with two young people that are involved in science communication here in the United States with the Digital Humanities Consortium, who is gladly sponsoring these materials for digital humanities, and also with Diego Lazzarini, who is from the University of Cuenca, who has been an active part of the creation of a massive course for training in science communication in Ecuador. And we're going to talk about the trends on how to make science engaging, what are the key points for creating a video, a narrative, materials, and also apps or different sources, how you can engage yourself in content creation, in materials to do video explainers, or do different activities that are engaging for audiences of different ages around your research. So, welcome. For example, for creating content, there are several apps. Particularly, I recommend download to your phone Recorded. This app is very useful for self-recording your screen. If you want to make an explainer step-by-step of a website of how to navigate something, I have used it for this series many times. You can open the app and at the same time open your phone, and it will be like recording what you do on your screen step by step. This only works for iPhones, for iPads, or any mobile device that's a smartphone or a tablet. Other apps that are very useful specifically for manipulating images are Lightroom. This comes with the Adobe Suite option. Lightroom is a reduced version that allows some features from Photoshop to manipulate and edit images in a way that allows you, for example, to create more light or contrast in a more professional way for pictures that you probably took with your phone. Another option that you can use with apps is Canva. I really like Canva because it's versatility. And what good tip for Canva is if you use the account with an EDU as a professor or as a student, it will give you slightly more options for free. You can create presentations, you can create videos, you can create Instagram Reels, Facebook posts, and the cool thing about Canva is it adapts to every single update of social media. So for example, if there's a resizing of TikToks, Canva will have it under templates. So it's easier for you if you're barely starting and you want to create a high quality video that has text but also merges your own narrative. We're going to see a step-by-step point and how you can use it also for adding music, for adding mimics, or any other points that can make your message convey a whole material on a reel or any other infographics, static posts, or so. So when you create content, there are several options that you can use. There are static posts, such as this one here that we're going to show. So a static post could be an image, an infographic, and so. Usually in Canva, you can use them as a square option for Facebook or Instagram. Remember that Instagram had a resizing this year of 2025. So it's slightly a little bit bigger because it adapted to the screens of smartphones, and you will have a little bit more space. The key thing here is to have a divided narrative of kind of like in a slide by slide how you're going to divide the message. So people will be swiping across this message, such as the one that we're going to show here for Johns Hopkins. So it's a very good option if you want to explain more complex data or step-by-step data in this kind of post. If you want to make videos, it could be a great option, specifically if you're going to go with younger audiences. You can use TikTok, but also on Instagram, you can use the option of Reels. Reels is a video format that's vertical. It allows easy sharing, but also captures attentions of people very fast because it's a video explainer and it has music. You can add text, you can tag it, you can collaborate with other people on Instagram as well, and it will show in both profiles. The good option about videos is also it could make something very clear to the audience and more engaging than just a static post. So for example, if you want to get your point clear about why vaccinations are good, or a one-step guide of how to avoid a particular illness on the summer, that could be also very useful. Or a healthy recipe for diabetes or something like that, if we're focusing about health. But if we're talking about, for example, climate change or recycling options, also could be an option for how to recycle at home. What are the proper ways to recycle? You have to wash the things that are kind of dirty before putting in the bin. All of those practices could be really useful if they're a video rather than a static post. Other options for content creation are thinking about YouTube, such as this channel. YouTube takes a little bit more of work because you will need to think in longer extended videos. More manageable, probably Instagram or TikTok could be a better option for you. Nevertheless, YouTube has been very powerful on explainer videos in audiences across all ages, and also has the option of shorts, which is a version of kind of like the Instagram Reels or the TikToks, but adapted to YouTube. Remember that social media platforms adapt all the time. So these tips have been presented to you. Now we're going to explore with our guests what are other tips for science communication if you want to start creating content, and from the experts itself. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Here today we're in the Science Toolbox with two great young people that are doing science communication in different latitudes from the United States and also in Latin America and Ecuador. And here first we have here Pedro Rosales, our Digital Humanities Fellow from the Cal Poly Pomona here in California. Hi, Pedro.
Hello. As said, I do a bunch of stuff here with the DHC and other things relating to the humanities, such as Crime Media Lab, where we edit videos specifically relating to criminology and editing them together to basically display criminological concepts in a digestible format like TikToks or Instagram videos or YouTube videos, just making them more digestible and applicable.
Yes. So Pedro is also one of the majors on junior. He's majoring in sociology and also on pre-med. And right now is our fellow on video on digital humanities and doing wonderful work on this area. So we're going to have a conversation today with him on how to do short videos for explaining complex topics such as crime or terminologies that are complex. If you're a researcher, if you're seeking to start producing video with your devices, it could be your laptop, like this whole series has been produced with a camera from a laptop and an iPhone. And you can do that with your smartphone as well. And it's not expensive. You can do media adaptations that allow you to create these materials for public engagement. So Pedro, can you tell us a little bit more about digital storytelling and video explainers, how to structure these narratives in an engaging way that simplify these core complex concepts such as criminology?
Yeah, so what I do for criminology concepts, I usually pick a subject first, just a really broad topic like routine activity theory or just the theory of deviancy and such. And then I start to narrow it down to something that I like specific, and I decide like, what do I want this video to do? Do I want it to talk about this topic? Do I want it to explain it, or do I want to show it? I just decide like what I want this video to do, and then once I do that, I start writing. I start getting more into the specifics of it. Sometimes I do have a specific idea that I build off of that, but usually for videos, I take something really broad and then narrow it down. Like, And then once I do narrow it down, I start to flesh it out. I start to connect all the little scenes together and everything. Like right here, I have one of my incomplete storyboards where I just write down little notes of all the different things that I'm doing for the video. And then once I get that done, I start writing bigger scripts. So then
Great.
I put the whole narrative together, and then from there I start to do storyboards or whatever the video requires.
Okay, great. And can you tell us a little bit more possibly about how to do the edits? With what software are you using right now? How to record the specific shots when you're using a smartphone or you're using a camera? What are your recommendations?
So to keep track of recording and like what you have to do and all that, apps that I use are little note-taking apps, such as just my notes on my phone, like, hey, this is shot 1, or hey, this is shot 2. And I usually this is why the first part is so important, getting what you want to note down, because if you have everything noted down, you could just put like 1, 2, or 3 on your phone, like, oh, this is what I want for this scene, or this is what I want for that scene. But when I'm actually recording everything, apps that I use, I usually use CapCut or just InShot. Those are the most basic ones that you can use for a phone. Just to do little quick edits, like if I want to shorten this footage down, or if I want to make it a little longer, or do edits. But then I usually export that to like a Google Drive, and then I use more fancier programs on the computer like After Effects or DaVinci Resolve.
Great. What's the most time-consuming part of editing a video?
Ooh. The most time-consuming part would be specifically would be the effects of the video. So if you have something that you want specific for your video, it's going to take a lot of time. So I would recommend when you're writing down everything, be considerate of that when you're planning for your video. Like if your video has a really a shot that is too bright, or it's going to be in an outdoor area, be ready to edit it to make it less bright. Or be ready to make multiple shots just in case if like one shot's too bright.
Yeah.
I would just recommend to just plan ahead so the technical stuff won't overwhelm you later.
Right. So what are other tips that you recommend for first-time video recording? Is it better to do it in different days? Is it better to do it in one day and separate like a whole day for recording video? What would be a good start?
It depends on the video, but honestly, for me, I like to do it all in one day. But also, I would just say keep notes. So if you're going to do it multiple days, make sure you know exactly where you left off and what you're thinking at that point. So say you're recording and like in this one area, it's too bright and you have like all these issues with it, and then you have to come back another day, make a note of that so when you come back, you know what to expect. Or if you're thinking of changing something around, but you just don't have the time to do it, make a note of that. Notes and writing are your best friend when editing and cutting up videos, just saving time later by doing little things now.
Good. Any recommendations about possible errors that are like the little demons of recording video? Maybe noises, maybe how to avoid disturbances of image that happens sometimes that we don't perceive at the moment of recording the video, but then when you're editing could be the killers of a good idea.
Yes, use the same thing. If you have an iPhone, stick to an iPhone. If you have a camera, stick to a camera. You can't put your like tongue on it, but when you switch between cameras, you can tell. You can tell subtly because of the focal zoom and all that. It's really jarring to a viewer. And
Mm-hmm.
also audio quality. So whatever you do, just stick with the same thing. If you just stick with the same iPhone, stick with the same camera, mic, and everything. Don't mix and match.
Even
And
the same location possibly would be better.
yes, if you're gonna take a shot, same location and even same angles. If you're gonna have a video, and you're cutting back and forth between footage and yourself talking, try to cut back to the same place you were. Unless you're doing something that's like requires you to move around. But
Yeah.
make sure if you cut back, if you're moving around, you're moving before. Don't be like you record and you're standing still in one shot and you cut to some other footage and then when you cut back you're moving. It's just really jarring. You just want to keep to the same thing, and then if you want to move, just move while the camera is still on you.
Now we have Diego Lazzarini from Cuenca, Ecuador. He's a graduate from social communication from the University of Cuenca. Welcome, Diego. He is part of the biosciences department and has been part of the production of the first MOOC course, massive course on science communication that will be out very soon. Conecta con la ciencia. Welcome, Diego.
Hi, Denise. Hi, Pedro. I'm really glad that we're having this conversation about a topic that we used to talk about it when you were here in Cuenca. So I'm really glad that we're having this conversation.
Wonderful. Thank you for being here today and making some time for us. And also, it's exciting to see that young people is getting engaged about science communication and video and social media and new technologies. So, Diego, that you have been producing social media content and podcasts and also many engaging public relations and strategic communication campaigns in the last years. But lately, you have been also working with us in this production of educational materials for researchers. So
Yeah.
if you can tell us a little bit more, what have been the challenges of teaching scientists how to communicate?
Always teaching to a scientist is a hard work to do because they think they know all about all things. So you have to make them to understand that they don't know any all the things that they think they know. But that are one of the challenges. Also, technology is a barrier, is like a wall for some of the researchers, for some of the professors, and also students. But I think we get like when we got a relationship between the professors and the students, and we are doing, in Spanish it says IAP, Investigación Acción Participativa, research action participative. So
It's
we are
participatory action research.
that's it. So we are like a community, a real community. So then you have to move that to social media when you are also teaching people that they think they know all about the world, but they don't know a lot of stuff. So that's like some connection between those two worlds.
Great, great. I'm loving the cat. It's gonna be the best thing about our video. So it's good to think about, because these methods it doesn't work in a vacuum, right? Like science communication for many years has suffered from making disseminatory communication, right? Like teaching, hey, we do this wonderful research, look at us, right? But when people gets engaged with all these wonderful science about health, about going to the moon, or many things, people gets curious. Hey, if I get these symptoms, do I have this illness, or is this point that I look into the space a new galaxy or whatever? Like questions emerge because people want to learn more, right? but scientists have to be prepared also for re-engaging in that dialogue, right, with
Yes.
audiences. And in this era of social media and two-way communications, scientists must be prepared to manage these platforms. And we know from her firsthand as communication professionals, social media is a double-edged sword, una espada de doble filo,
Yes.
because it can destroy you or it can take you up to levels you've never imagined. And this is an example that technology connects people across the world, right?
Yes.
So, for example, when you guys have produced so many engaging content and podcasts, how do you think this content has been powerful tools for creating pieces to explain? And if you have been creating these videos or TikToks or Reels on Instagram, what have been your experiences on what type of content, on what type of construction is effective for science?
We talked before you said it, the questions. The question is the most important thing for a video of science, for example. Where does it happen? This new vaccine that was discovered in, I don't know, United States, China, or when was discovered? So the keys, the W's, I think is in English. The 7 W's for content creation or for marketing: when, where, why, what. Thus, that questions, all of them are really good to make videos about science, to talk about science, to explain to the people these topics. But the question itself got an answer waiting. So it's a communication per se. Like, I'm asking some questions to know also an answer, but a response to that question. So I think that if I have in my mind, and Pedro was talking about it, I have in mind what I can give, or why, or what I expect to the viewers to view in my video, what I want to them to view. So if I start to making myself these questions to how do I want to look at me, what do they need to see about the topic that I'm talking. So in these questions, there are 7 or 5 maybe that are really useful to make not only TikToks, but how do you say guiones in English?
Scripts.
Scripts. That's the word. So when you're writing a script, you are thinking about these questions, and it's gonna be more easy to do.
Great. So, for example, let's talk about the specifics. You guys have been working a lot with technology and platforms, for example, Canva in your case, and video editing and self-recording. You and Diego and Santiago self-recorded many tutorials for the MOOC and also for your thesis. And Pedro as well, you have recorded many videos for the criminology lab. And self-recorded videos, and I'm also self-recorder of many videos. When you use these platforms such as Canva or any others for creating content, what are the things that you recommend, for example, for a researcher that doesn't manage too much technology, they hate social media, but they see that's necessary, but they want to grapple and start creating, I don't know, a content and explainer about health, about engineering, philosophy, political science, anything. How they can start using an app on their phone to start drafting an idea of, or self-recording themselves to explain something to their audience and start little by little cultivating an audience, for example, on Instagram or TikTok or X. Pedro, you can start. Or
Pedro.
Diego.
Pedro. Go, Pedro.
Specifically, I've seen some examples of this, even with students. just start off small, be really specific. So, um, like Diego said, with questions and everything, questions are a great place to start. Like, just like, what is blank? Like, like for a biology professor, you can teach about like what is vaccines, or what is the specific component of X thing. Honestly, questions are the easiest way to just start making content with, just for scripts and everything and ideas. But for the more nitty gritty of recording and videos and everything, nowadays with TikTok and Instagram, it's more socially acceptable to just get a camera and just start talking to it. To make it more have emphasis and more punch to do better in the algorithm, or to just be more applicable, you could subtitle it, add more effects, edit it so like you don't it's not rambling on, or edit it where it's more specific
Mhm.
and cut it down. Or you could add more like effects to it possibly, but
Mhm.
that's for later on if you start actually editing more videos and everything.
Mhm.
But honestly, I would just say get a question and then be direct with it.
Great.
Yeah, like be yourself. When you're yourself talking to a camera and you know what you're meant to say, like the way you know it, only yourself can teach the way you want. So I think is that be yourself, get a camera, get a question, all that, and also in apps and programs to beginners. Canva is a really good option. It's free in some countries. I think it's more is less expensive to have the premium version, but also when you get to a certain level, when you start making more content, you have to edit more videos or more photos or whatever, you need to pay the apps. Because, well, I'm paying right now, for example, Adobe Suite. So I have Photoshop, After Effects, Premiere, and it's wonderful. Mm, um, Before I was paying the Adobe Suite, I have the hack version. It was awful. It was terrible to switch between apps, to export files, to import files. So if you can pay it, do it. Like without hesitation, just do it. And yeah, CapCut is a really useful app too, to edit videos, to subtitle them, and it you can do it in your PC or in your phone. So it's really good to have those two apps.
Mhm. Good. Good
Ooh,
recommendations.
one more
Any
thing.
other recommendations, Pedro?
Yeah, specifically for Cal Poly students and educators, they have access to Adobe Suite for a reduced fee. I believe it's about $60 for the whole suite. So I would take advantage of that if you're able to. Um, so you're able to get the whole suite on your computer for a year for $60. And I believe it's available to students and educators all
Mhm.
across Cal Poly, even
Also
graduate.
Canva. Yeah, also Canva, if you have an EDU email, it gives you more features if you're a student or a professor, educator on K-12 or Educación Básica in Latin America as well. Good. So regarding those tips, what do you see is the future like for science communication? What would you like to see, and what would you like to engage in the future as young people doing technology and communications in this area?
Well, in the future, I think AI, it's going to take all over the place for editing videos. Also, now they are making videos with fake voices with AI, and people doesn't know that is AI. So I think the science communication needs to be very careful about it. Needs to somehow need a regulation about it. But I think it's going to be like a new wave of people knowing about science only because of TikTok, of social media. And I think in this era of communication, in this globalized world, we have the access to the internet like this so fast. So the people always gonna have this curiosity to know what's happening in the world, knowing what new topic in science is trending. So I think we are going to have a new era of scientists or maybe communicators in science, very well informed and also with a very good amount of production to their videos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think AI also, the ethical boundaries are blurry everywhere in the world right now. So it's very important that education takes a stand. And I think educators, we're trying to keep up of how it's unethical use. It's not okay to say, don't use it, it's the devil or something like that, right? It definitely will help you to do things such as, I don't know, a mock image of things that will help you to show something, but doesn't help to do all the work for you because it's not an original creation. Prompt engineering, how to do prompt engineering in an effective way, it would be good. So actually the next conference of the Public Science and Technology organization that's rules in the world right now in Europe will be about that in the next month in Europe. So that's the big discussion right now. What should be done? So what do you think, Pedro? What would be future directions in this area that you would like to explore?
Future directions I would like to explore is more integrated sources, like how we do everything today. Everyone makes videos. Content creators make videos about science papers. People who don't really have that much experience, but they show it usually because it's flashy, like a new science discovery. It would help a lot if researchers themselves talked about their own subjects because it's coming from the source itself. That would help reduce misinformation. That would help reduce just general inflammatory things, like just saying like, oh, this thing's gonna cause this or this thing's gonna cause that. I would like to see further researchers actually publish their work not only in papers that are usually blocked behind a paywall, but also on TikToks and videos and discussions about it. There's already a big culture out there of people listening to long, interesting videos on YouTube to fall asleep, but they still retain some of that knowledge. I would rather have people listen to vaccines, like how they work, to fall asleep than I don't know, like crime documentaries and such, even though I'm kind of throwing my own humanities things under the bus. But a lot of this stuff, the crime things are inflammatory. Like in criminology, crime videos are very inflammatory because they often mischaracterize or overinflame things, like just make things blow out of proportion just to get views. It would be much nicer if the researchers of these subjects, if the actual accredited people talked about it in an educational way that could keep it still interesting.
Yeah,
There's a balance to be struck.
I agree. One of the things right now that public scholarship is taking a good stance. However, the fight is also how much of that work, because as you know, it takes time and effort, to record the videos, to do the materials, to prepare a narrative, to create the creative, engaging ways. It's lots of creative work plus the science behind it. So it's not that easy. It's an effort. It needs funding. will be recognized towards the work of academic researchers. So it's not only the willingness, but also the effort. So right now, academia is really transforming, and it's really advocating. Many people is advocating for it. It's still there's pushback. Like there's many classical ways that still professors need to publish to be accredited. Of course, peer-reviewed work is important. However, how much of that work contributes to society really, it should be as important as well. So thank you so much for your time. It has been a wonderful conversation, sharing your perspectives from people that's producing and creating educational materials about science communication in Latin America and here in the United States. So thank you for your time.
Thanks.